how important do you think this generalization is, which has created this situation on the ground? Because it's like, it's a standard set narrative. You talk to a Maiti, he says it's all about illegal migrants, it's all about crackdown on the illegal poppy cultivation. If talk to a Kuki, he says that it is all about Maiti's assertion to dominance and can't seeing the well-being of the Kukis. How do you see this generalization fanning the sentiment on the ground?
I think because of this generalization, there has been othering. The marginalized group feel that there is othering going on. The government is selective to the cookies. They are selectively targeting the cookies, despite the prevalence of this problem in the whole of the state. And you can also find some of the behavior of the state officials that they're selectively, for instance, trying to look into certain communities differently. That's a kind of target that we have been seeing for the last couple of years. So this othering has to stop in order to build trust. And the youths, they have this race against the government for the last many years now. So this is a pattern that has been recognizable for long, and this has to be addressed. Otherwise, how do you find the youths, building up belongingness to this state called Manipur? If you continue targeting certain communities despite the prevalence of these problems throughout the state. And I would like to make a quick response to Subir Das, argument that the Manipuris has to be allowed to settle in the hill areas also. Looking into the data of migration or moving of people to safer areas. For instance, the Meiteis from More and Trasanpur, there are more than 5,000.
I didn't say settle. I said more livelihood, not settle.
Yeah, let me finish first. You can see that for the last 2 decades, there are many Manipuris who have settled in More and Trasanpur for their livelihood, because these two towns are thriving towns in terms of trade, in terms of services. In Trasanpur, many Manipuris are a part of that town because they have been the provider of rice, they have been provider of so many essential items into this second biggest town of Manipur. So, I would question that if somebody is asked in the Imphal Valley to settle in the remote hill areas, right? For instance, the hill top of certain geographical locations, nobody would go there. I will never agree to go and settle in some hilltops where there's no road, where there's nothing. So it's basically the towns that are being, targeted in terms of economic and other, kind of activities. So if you look into the data, we have allowed, a lot of people to settle, to buy land in More, in Chusanpur, as well as in certain remote areas like Kwatha. There is a village and there is a thriving village administration and population. So this has to be, once again, relooked into it, rather than, pointing out that, in practice, this is in practice. Despite in law or in other kind of argument, there is a different thing. And I would like to point out the problem that we keep on consistently discussing. For instance, the uncontrollable mob, right? If the army is unable to control the mob, bring back AFSPA for a while to control the people. If the government is unable to control the whole state, why can't we bring president's rule for a few months and then restore the state assembly after that? So these are the things that has never been discussed to control the situation. President's rule has never been accepted by the central government, despite being a demand consistently by the cookies, so that there is no partiality in terms of controlling the riot. And there's no discussion about bringing back AFSPA to the state of Manipur, especially the valley areas, to control unruly mobs, right? So these things has to be thought, seriously for.
Well, yes,
bringing back
yes, Dr. Haokip, I would want to, we just showed our viewers visuals of Union Home Minister Amit Shah. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has reached Guwahati, where he was welcomed by BJP leaders. And I think, there are several Manipur MLAs who also would want to go and seek an audience with him about the situation which is unfolding here in the state of Manipur. Dada, if I may come back to you, there was a very pertinent question which was raised by General Shokin Chauhan, about poppy cultivation. It's the ruse of poppy cultivation is being used at othering the Kuki tribe. Whenever you ask them, what is the reason, it's always said that, it's the crackdown on poppy cultivation which has led to all kind of unrest and protest and all. He says that, find out who gains from it, who allows the movement of it, how he was not allowed to, tackle the situation and how there was protest and all. Do you think that there will ever be an interest apart from crackdown on the poppy cultivation, will the government ever try to seriously find out who are behind this so that, the real picture can come out rather than just making generalized assumption and adding fuel to the fire?
Very few people have investigated the drug scenario in Manipur than me. Twice I have run stories on my byline and I've been threatened, physically threatened by drug lords who are based in Manipur but who bring Burmese drugs, Burmese double globe, Burmese heroin, amphetamine from across the border and then smuggle it into other parts of India for the big Indian market. And also to Bangladesh, where there is a growing demand for drugs because there is prohibition in Bangladesh, so people turn to drugs. I will tell you something. In 1988, when I investigated the heroin smuggling, I found, I don't want to take the name because the gentleman is dead, and his family thinks because they blame me for hounding this man out in the media. They think he suffered a heart attack because of the way I hounded him out. But he was neither Kuki nor Methi. He was from somewhere in mainland India, big trader, vice president, Imphal Chamber of Commerce. He was the main guy, and his assistant was a chap who was on the border area. He was from the Paite tribe. And they were the people who were bringing this. When I exposed their racket, the PLA, which is the leading insurgent group in Manipur, sort of went and destroyed his godowns where he was stocking acetic anhydride, which they've sent to Myanmar for processing the drugs and then bring the drugs into India. So this was a two-way trade. The chemicals, the refining chemicals would go from here and with proper license, industrial licenses, for which they were showing fake pharmaceutical industries in Manipur. So this is deep. And I still remember my good friend who was SP Border, Mallan Gaud. He's retired now and gone, so I can name him. He shared copious details with me, and I did these stories, and I was threatened 3 times. But then I hounded this guy out and he had to run away from Manipur.
General Chauhan, we just spoke to Dr. Haokip and he said that, he talks about how AFSPA should be imposed or president rule should be put there because there's no trust, A, in the state machinery, B, in the police force, and only AFSPA or president rule will allow the situation to get back to normalcy and the atmosphere conducive for a political process to begin. How do you respond to that?
Brijesh, this is a difficult question to an army man. I have been in Manipur during the time when AFSPA was there. And yes, we had been able to control a great deal of violence. We had been able to bring it down to normalcy. And we'd also been able to control a lot of illegal trade that takes place from Myanmar or Burma. So the problem is about putting AFSPA is that the state government itself has to recommend the imposition of AFSPA. And until the state government recommends the imposition of AFSPA, there's nothing that the armed forces can really do. But if they're serious about wanting to control the situation, if they're serious about allowing the Assam Rifles and the armed forces to get the powers to control the situation, we need laws that empower us, and AFSPA gives us that law and gives us that ability by which we are able to then move into people's houses and check for their weapons. The main thing, Brijesh, is that if we are to have a more visible presence then we need to have the ability to go and check. We need to take out all the weapons, all the illegal weapons that are with the people that are in various groups. All the weapons have to now be taken back. And for that, we need to check houses, we need to check people, we need to check all kinds of institutions where these kind of weapons may be hidden. So that's the first issue. That yes, I agree that the state government should now recommend that it is not able to control this violence, and that if the armed forces are to be brought in, then the only way is for a short period of time, for 3 months, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act is brought in so that the armed forces can operate unhindered. That's the first issue. The second issue is that we've been talking at length about this issue about illegal trade and who funds it, who gains by it, and who actually pushes it through. Whatever Subir Bhaumik said, I totally agree with him. We need to place, and Subir will agree with me, that when I was the Director General of the Assam Rifles, I had taken up this case with the Ministry of Home Affairs to give the Assam Rifles powers to check under the NDPS Act. You'd be surprised, the Assam Rifles is a border guarding force, but it does not have the powers to check people because we don't have the powers, the police powers, which we've been requesting for a very long time. So while Assam Rifles is a border guarding force, it is largely hindered in its ability to act because of the lack of the NDPS Act, which I believe is in the process of being given, but has not yet been given. At one time, the Assam Rifles was given the powers, but taken away within the same day.